guys, it's Ariel here from Fix My Books, and today we are joined by my husband Jason.
Hello.
So, I guess you guys can see from the screen, today we are going to talk all about hiring your first bookkeeper. So, this would be kind of an overview of the process, some tips and tricks to make sure that you're getting the right bookkeeper for your business, how to find out if, this is the type of service that you would need.
So it's really centered around, it's a video centered for other business owners that are hiring a bookkeeping firm, but as well bookkeepers that are thinking, we're going to start interacting with clients, like we're opening up a shop and we need to
Start getting clients.
yeah, we need to start getting clients. So this is kind of what you're going to be asked.
Or, if this is like your first, or maybe you've just gotten one or two clients and you're not really comfortable or familiar with the sales process, this could be very helpful to you as well if you're just a newbie bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, let's get started. Okay, so before your meeting, which no bookkeeper will really take you on without without talking to you first or meeting you first, because we're handling your financials. We need to do due diligence.
So if you're a business owner and you call our firm or any other firm, or you email us and then just yell about, oh, I want price, give me a price,
we're not going to
we're not going to be a good fit. We're probably not even going to entertain that. The majority of firms won't entertain that, and the firms that you're going to be dealing with that will entertain that
are not the firms.
Are probably not the firms that you want to be doing your bookkeeping.
Yeah.
We see this very regularly because we have a YouTube channel and we offer a lot of advice. But we also, we have quite a big company in Canada, and we get quite a lot of inquiries which are just like this, where a person will email us or call us and just simply demand that we give them a price.
Well, we don't know what your situation is.
We tailor our price for every single client, so it's not a static, singular price.
Yeah.
So it's based always on the volume of work that we'll be doing.
Exactly. So just note that no good bookkeeper will take you on without an initial consultation or a meeting. So before the meeting, what you need to do is you need to be prepared. You need to do your research. I think what people do is they type bookkeeping in Google or something, or bookkeeping Toronto, or bookkeeping whatever your city is. See like the first 10 that come up and then call them and ask for a quote. That's not how this industry works, and that's not what's going to happen. Just think about it like the insurance industry, right? Okay, you want insurance for what? Or is it accident? Is it life, death? Like, what do you want? There are different levels to this, right?
Yeah, and they'll usually need to talk to you. You'll need to answer a very lengthy questionnaire.
Do you smoke? Do you drink? Like, these all factor
into your BMI,
yeah,
that kind of thing.
Exactly. Same thing with bookkeeping. Do we need to do, accrual basis, cash basis accounting? Do you
How many loans or lines of credit do you have?
Exactly. So this is the same concept with that. So before you start meeting people, be prepared, do your research in terms of like, who are you going to be dealing with? Like, is this a reputable bookkeeping company? What's their track record? Is this an industry they specialize in?
So one of the things we would tell or would recommend business owners to do when they're researching firms is, you'll see a lot of firms where they are listing reviews on their website, much like we do. But these reviews, when you search them on Google or anywhere else, these reviews don't exist. They're just simply reviews they have written. So you have to question the authenticity sometimes of those reviews.
Well, true. Sometimes, people will say really, really nice things, to us via email, and, we never post that anyway. So it could be that.
This is something I want to tell business owners to also be aware of. There's a lot of people that are doing very catchy websites, and I'm going to, lift the veil on this a fair bit because it's wrong. So if you want to research a firm and say this firm has contacted you, and this is a real example actually, so say this firm has contacted you and they're saying that they do all these, they've got thousands of clients or thousands of T2s under their belt and thousands of bookkeeping clients on their website, and there is a firm that has contacted us that wanted to partner with us.
They've been in Canada
so what I did was I searched on Open Corporates. So anyone can go onto Open Corporates and then search on the website and make a free account. And this firm was registered a month ago. Yeah. And they are listing that they have thousands of clients on their website simply to garner more clients or get more clients. And they want to partner with us. You know, we obviously said no to this. They've found us on YouTube. They know who they are, and it's wrong because you
can't just lie.
You can't just lie to people in order to get business, especially with this, where if you do the work incorrectly,
a lot of people get into trouble.
A lot of people are going to be in trouble.
Yeah. So again, be prepared, do your research. We cannot emphasize this enough. We understand that this is an industry that is already like a touchy subject because it's related to finances. But again, there's a lot of these types of people in the finance industry, so you just have to be careful who you're dealing with.
Yeah, so go on Open Corporates, see when the company was created. Is what they're saying on their company website aligning with the actual creation date of their company, for one. Research the people, go search on LinkedIn. Are these people credible? How long have they been around, etc.?
And the reason why we emphasize this is you have to understand, like, these people, like bookkeepers, will go through your life, meaning we will see all your bank accounts,
they
your
have
loans,
your SIN number,
we
address,
have
date of birth,
everything.
etc.
So just think about it. These will be one of the closest people you will be working with. So you want to make sure they're legit and they're good people and they are who they say they are.
Yeah,
right?
As an example, I have a family member who they got their bookkeeper in 1989, and that was their bookkeeper up until 2017 or 2015 when they retired. So the relationship can last a very long time.
Yeah. Okay, next it would be know what services you need beforehand. So this is obviously to shorten the time that you're going to, be talking to your bookkeeper, but also so that you don't just get bombarded with services that you don't need. Like ethically, I don't want to sell you a service that you don't even need. So if you have an idea of what services you need beforehand, we can delve into that during the meeting, more in depth compared to like a bookkeeper just going through, here's everything what we offer, what do you want, right? So if you have some idea, we can tailor that during the meeting. Yeah. So for example, you don't have any employees, so you go, I don't need payroll. Okay, that's fine. Like, then we know that what we're dealing with, right?
Yeah, you don't want to be charged for payroll when you're not even running a payroll. So.
Yeah, or something like accounts payable publishing. If you're on a cash basis in terms of your accounting method, right? Then you won't need accounts payable publishing. So that's just a little tidbit. Also, again, not all bookkeepers are created equal. Again, this comes with doing your research. You need to know who you're dealing with. Especially in this industry, we are unregulated. Everyone can call themselves a bookkeeper. Now, the title certified professional bookkeeper, that is a regulated title, meaning you have to pass an exam. You can't just call yourself a certified professional bookkeeper with no credentials, right? So just note that. And that just because also someone doesn't have CPB or professional bookkeeper in their name doesn't mean they're a bad bookkeeper. They may have 20, 30 years of experience in your industry and be very, very good at what they do. So this, again, goes hand in hand with doing your research before the meeting.
Yeah, there are a lot of people in this industry that have been around a long time that are very, very skilled, and they simply opt not to have credentials behind their name. They don't need them. They may not even be accepting clients.
True.
They simply work on a referral basis as well. And that would probably be one of the better ways to go around finding a bookkeeper.
Ask for referrals.
Ask for referrals from your other friends, family members, etc.
Or maybe your trusted accountant. Trust me, good accountants work with good bookkeepers, right? Once you're in this industry, you have people that you like to work with, you know the way they work, and accountants are more than happy to refer good bookkeepers out. You know why? Because it lessens their stress. If they know, okay, this is this person's bookkeeper, I don't need to be double, triple checking this person's work because I know that they're a good bookkeeper.
Yeah, that's very true. They don't have to give 10 pages of adjusting entries at the end of every year.
Exactly. So with that, we'll move on to the next point, which is take note of how the sales process is. So this is maybe where Jason will shine because he built basically our sales process.
And I'm building it again.
Rebuilding because we're constantly trying to improve. So with this, is just take note of how it is. If you, let's say, called them and they answered the phone and that's how you scheduled the initial meeting with them, then probably that's how you guys are going to work together. They are happy to answer the phone.
Or not only that, if you're dealing a lot with email, like everything is being sent via email. There's no client portal. There's no other form of communication. Like Slack or whatever.
That's how you're going to communicate with them.
That's how you're going to be communicating with them. And the less techy it is, the more, slow sometimes it can be because you're sending documents all the time via email and, things can sometimes go missing, etc. But the more techy the firm is, it doesn't necessarily mean the more better it is, but the more techy it is, usually the more you're going to have to pay.
Yeah, because obviously that
they have to build in the price of all the tech stack that they're using into what it is that they're selling you.
And also the convenience, right? Like, for example, we have an open calendar with our clients, so that they just have it in their client portal. They can just book us anytime they want. There's the link there. So that type obviously of convenience, that has to just think about that will probably add to the price because you're looking at a different type of service that's more like white glove convenient, as opposed to sending an email like, hi, are you free for a chat next week, and then waiting for a response, right? Compared to just clicking a booking link and booking at a time that's convenient for you.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, bookkeepers and their staff, they usually work on operational efficiency. And so they have to price around that. And what that is essentially time management. So the more open that they are, usually the higher price you're going to have to pay for that premium.
The more that you can talk to them and contact them, that's... Yeah.
The more you deal with your accountant and you see different accountants in the industry and you see different bookkeepers and financial professionals, and you realize how difficult it is to actually get a hold of people because of how few there are relative to the population, then you'll see the difference in price immediately.
Yeah. So just take note of that, like the sales process, their tech stack, before you even, do the initial meeting. That's probably how your working relationship will be.
Yeah.
Okay, next, we're here at the meeting. So the first time you meet your bookkeeper, first things first, respect the time allotted. So if you guys talked about we're going to have a meeting for 45 minutes, then try to stick to that time as much as possible. Obviously meetings go over time, but try to stick to that because they may have like a meeting after, you don't know. And also this goes with the first thing we mentioned, which is have an idea of what services you want so that you can maximize your time with them into talking about that, that type of service that you need.
And with all due respect to people, but this will probably offend some people, please don't call a bookkeeper and ask for them to answer a list of questions pertaining to you doing your own bookkeeping.
Oh yeah, please don't.
And that you basically won't pay them. You're just asking for free advice. that's very disrespectful. You're essentially saying that whatever we offer or whatever they offer is irrelevant because you're going to do it anyway, but you don't have the actual skills to do it, hence why you're calling. There's nothing that frustrates a bookkeeper more than a potential client doing that, or I don't know how else to explain it, because it's very odd. I mean, how would you personally feel if I called you at your work, essentially said to you, I'm not going to pay you for your time,
but tell me how to
do your job,
yeah,
and then that's it, and then you become offended when I don't want to tell you. It's a very, very weird thing to do. Just don't do that.
It's the equivalent of like going to a lawyer and saying, tell me how I can represent myself in court, like that. That is the equivalent, because I don't know if
we really don't like to entertain that. Sometimes we will, if the person is really struggling and they really need some sort of help, we try to guide them in the right direction, but it's getting to the point where it's really offensive. And just because we have a YouTube channel and we talk about these things doesn't mean please call us.
We're not customer support.
To fix your QuickBooks, and then that just because it's a free meeting.
Especially a lot of the people who call us have their own accountants, so we're not sure why they're calling us when they have their own accountants.
Well, I know why, because they can't get a hold of their accountant.
Yeah, exactly. We've had to tell a person, I'm sorry, but you have to talk to your accountant. We're not, like, just because we have a YouTube channel doesn't mean that we just give free advice. You have an accountant.
Yeah, and frankly as well, it's a legal thing, so we can't be giving advice tailored to your specific situation.
Yeah.
If we don't have some sort of contract with you.
Exactly. So just know that. And again, this goes with having a list of questions ready beforehand, knowing what you want, and also, again, do your research. So if they specialize in your accounting software that you want to use, or maybe your industry, you can be more specific about that. So for example, like us, we specialize in e-commerce bookkeeping. Okay, within e-commerce, which one is our specialty? It's Shopify. So out of e-commerce bookkeeping, we specialize in Shopify bookkeeping. So anyone who did some research beforehand would know that and can target their questions more of like Shopify related questions. Next would be, again, be courteous and respectful. This is going hand in hand in what Jason said previously. But what we noticed as well is that people who have had previous trauma.
So they've found a bookkeeper, usually like Fiverr or some other place online. And that person has said that they're capable of doing this work, and obviously 1, 2, 3 years later they were really not capable of doing that work, and the books are a mess. And now there's a person that will come to you and they'll need help fixing the damage that was done, but that doesn't mean that we did that.
Yeah.
So please, we know that it was bad. We can see sometimes, like when we open up the QuickBooks account, that it's very bad. We feel for you, but please don't treat us as if we did that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like we're
there to fix the problem, not to create more of a problem.
Yeah, so we see this happen a lot. So just take note, we didn't do that to you, and whatever this new person or new bookkeeper is not related to your old bookkeeper. So just keep that in mind, and I understand like some people are touchy about it, but this is just something we notice all the time. People are very combative right away if they've had like someone do them dirty.
It's something I think that was a side effect of all the businesses that were opened in COVID, 2020.
Yeah.
They didn't really think much about bookkeeping. They were more keen on the advertising or the big ticket line items, and then when it got to the accounting side, it was only because the CRA was calling, or they thought, oh, I better file my taxes eventually.
Yeah.
And then they found someone, and it didn't turn out too well. But we're there to help.
Yeah. Okay, next it would be Okay, be honest and don't lie. This happens all the time. The number of times I get, oh, no, my bookkeeping simple. It's just one bank
Yeah,
account, one credit. It's just this, it's
Well,
just that. If I had a penny for every time someone said, oh, it's simple, it's just this, if it was that basic, you would do it yourself.
Yeah,
So
it usually never is.
It's annoying for you to try to minimize the work that needs to be done because, first of all, we'll quote you wrong because you're going to say, oh, it's just this. So, yeah,
and then
we'll
you'll be
give you...
disappointed anyway because
Yeah.
our quote actually says in the terms and agreements that we'll change the quote based
So,
on
yeah.
any information that we find out later.
Yeah. So when a client says, oh, I only have one bank account and one credit card, and then I go into their books and there are 7 different accounts in there, I will definitely go back to the client and say, hi, this was not included in our initial quote. So when we clean up your books, we will only clean up these 2 accounts. The other 5 accounts that you didn't mention will not be cleaned. So at the end of the day, you will still not be able to file your taxes. So would you like us to proceed with just the 2 accounts, or would you like a requote for all your actual accounts, right?
Because it's not fair. If you tell someone, oh, you're talking to a contractor, I need you to come in and fix a busted pipe under the sink, but then you're getting him to relay all the piping downstairs and a toilet line and a sewer line, and that's it's obviously outside the scope of what was initially provided as the guide.
Yeah, so just during the meeting, just be honest. We'll find it out anyways. And the last person you want to honestly annoy is your bookkeeper.
Yeah, you don't
who
want to
has...
start the relationship like that. I mean, it's really, really difficult to come back from something where, especially if it was just, oh, I forgot one account or whatever, it doesn't matter, we know.
But if there are more accounts not included than the ones you told us about?
If you say that it's for one bank account, but then that there's actually 15, it's obviously outside the scope.
Exactly. So just be honest, don't lie. We'll find everything out anyways. Like even
and if they didn't find out that then that they're not a very good bookkeeper.
Exactly. And there are even, I've had some clients literally where I said, where they go, oh, what are these, why is my shareholder loan account $100,000? I said, well, you kept taking out money to pay your Amex credit card, look here. And then they go, oh, but that was a business credit card. I'm like, oh, but you didn't tell us that you had a business credit card because that was not included in our initial conversation when we asked you. And then they were saying like, oh, no, that's a business that has like, those are paid for business expenses. And then we have to go and say like, unfortunately, we will then have to requote you because that was not included. Now, I don't want to be the bad person
having to requote
all the time.
Because the thing is, we actually don't like having to requote. It takes time. It can take like an hour, 20 minutes or an hour or 2 hours.
Not only that, but the staff, we're already working on the books, and then we're going to have to stop and start again, which is really, it destroys the workflow. So just be honest, say everything in one go. This is everything I need, so that the bookkeeper really has a comprehensive idea of what you need. Because the last thing that you want to happen is they start working and doing these services, and then you go, oh, I want this added, that added, and then they'll just go, okay, this is impossible. Like, you keep changing what we're talking about. And that's a really difficult way to really start a relationship. And that's really not the way you want to do it.
And just remember, a lot of bookkeepers, we're introverted people. If you're coming back to us all the time and changing things, it can sort of, we like our processes and procedures. It can get us out of whack. And they may even terminate you as a client because of that. And we see that very, very regularly. Not really with us, but
the good ones.
With a lot of other bookkeeping firms, if you mess them around, they will just cut ties with you because they don't want to deal with someone that constantly every month it's changing and it's a headache.
But it's also like dealing with them in bad faith. It's not exactly.
Yeah, you've kind of misled them as to what the work is going to be.
Okay, so just note all of that during your meeting. Again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to tell you all the bad things that the bookkeepers encounter for you not to do it.
Yeah, I know people don't like negative videos generally on YouTube, but this video might be a little negative, but the reason why is we just hate seeing people being turned away all the time because they're just sort of setting themselves up for failure.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, next. Questions. Now, these are the questions you should be asking your bookkeeper.
And if you're a bookkeeper as well,
you should be prepared.
You just be expecting these questions to come up. And if you can't answer them, or if it's with, you're not capable of doing some of this work, then ethically, just be honest and say that you're not capable with that, or you haven't done this before, but you're willing to give it a go if they want.
Yeah. Like when I had my first construction client, I was very honest and I said, look, I'm really excited. I would love to learn this industry. I haven't done anything with construction.
Yeah, we were very upfront about it. And he just said, okay.
He's like, I like your attitude. I'll give you a go. So I said, okay, perfect. So I learned it. And before we started the relationship, I said, could you please give me 2 weeks because I want to learn and I want to show you what I learned and let me know if you think this will work for your company. And that was just all for free. I wasn't charging my client that.
That was just all it cost to us in order to acquire that client. And that client was with us for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the list of questions you should be asking your bookkeeper or whoever you're going to hire to do your bookkeeping. So we do have a full video just going through a lot of these questions. We don't want to put it here because this is going to be 3-hour long video then. So we'll link that video down below. But here are some basic questions you can ask. Like, how do we communicate?
Like email, or is it via Slack or some other client portal like Taxstone or Client Hub, etc.
Exactly, which kind of goes back to the first
tech stack
thing we tackled, which is the tech stack. So how the sales process is, that's probably how you're going to communicate after that. Next would be, what can I expect from you on a monthly basis? So this is just something to check, like, are you doing my books? If you say you're doing my books and reconciling monthly, then, you should either get a reconciliation report, a profit and loss report each month, something like that. Yeah. Know what the deliverables are.
Are you going to be doing the invoicing, or is that something as the business owner I'm going to be doing? Are you going to do the AP publishing for me?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
But again, this all depends on what you talk about during the meeting and goes back with knowing what services you want beforehand.
Yeah. We realize that there's a lot of new business owners out there that don't understand these concepts and terms. So just be honest. Like when you meet, just say, I really have no idea what I need. So can you, this is what I'm doing at the moment and this is kind of where I need to be. So, what do you think you can do to fill that gap?
Exactly. That's a way more, I would say, like, collaborative way to with your bookkeeper to actually know what they can provide for you.
Yeah. As we said before, don't do this thing where some people go, oh, it's really simple. It's just this, because you're wanting the lowest price possible. And then as soon as the relationship starts, you start asking for 10, 15, 20 other different things. Because that's a road to nowhere.
Okay, next is obviously super important. How do you price your services? So a lot of people in this industry do value pricing, which is a flat monthly fee each month, or they will do an hourly rate. So just note that if it's an hourly rate, you should ask for what typically, how many hours do you spend on a typical client of my size? So how much your bill is each month, at least a price range, right?
But just be prepared that what they're going to ask you can feel invasive, but it's really not. It's so that they can work out how many hours they're going to take or how much they're going to provide in terms of the value pricing. So they'll ask you things like, how many transactions do you do per month? we usually ask how long is your bank statement for, your credit card, this, because you can estimate based on the number of pages on a statement.
Do you have PayPal?
Yeah, do you have PayPal, multi-currency, Stripe, any other payment processing softwares? Are you using this software, that software, QuickBooks or Xero, etc.?
Yeah. So those all goes into the pricing of your monthly fee. Next, which is a question that I don't think gets asked a lot.
This question only gets asked by people that have been
audited
or gone through a series of reviews and have had a very difficult time, especially if they've had a bookkeeper or accountant that wasn't really there for them and couldn't really assist them through the processes, which is why they're probably contacting you. But this question should be asked more frequently if you're a business owner. And the reason is because we're seeing a lot more people starting to get reviewed for very basic things. Usually the CRO would go after bigger fish, but even now, even smaller businesses are being reviewed quite regularly.
Yeah, so this is, again, this kind of really started, the audits really started a year or two ago.
Yeah, 2022.
2022. So this is a really good question to ask them. Do you provide audit support, or is that a separate fee? We usually would provide some audit support. However, it has to be based on our work. We can't provide audit support for something someone else filed 10 years ago, and then you expect our firm to help with that.
Yeah, and then if you're getting... So there's two different levels here. There's usually reviews, which we will provide support for. We call that sort of audits as well, but it's like a mini audit. And then you have the full scale audits that the CRA, they go to your house and that kind of thing. And that will probably incur a separate fee, because what you're really getting into there is representation work. And in Canada, people don't really understand this as much. People in the US seem to grasp this concept a lot more, the difference between representation. So when a CPA or enrolled agent or a lawyer represents you before, not just in tax court, but, in front of the CRA or in the US would be the IRS. But that's two different things. So if you're just helping out with a review or an audit and you're sending stuff into the CRA, that's one thing. But then if you're representing the client in a full capacity, that's a completely separate set of fees, etc.
Yeah, so you, as a business owner, know what type of support you're getting. Is this just like a review type of support or a full-on audit support? So you need to know what that is. Next is obviously what accounting software the bookkeeper is familiar with. Are you willing to switch? Because there are some people that's like, I don't care, I can switch. And then there are some people, no, you must use, Xero or QuickBooks or whatever. Whatever they're using. Yeah. So know that. Next is, do you have a team or is it just you? So a lot of people are concerned with this because what if the bookkeeper gets sick and something needs to be filed?
Which is understandable, because we've seen this quite a bit, especially with the smaller firms during 2020 where, the bookkeeper got sick or they had to get a second job or something like that, and they couldn't be around as regularly. The business owners kind of got... their expectations were a bit different.
Yeah. Next would be, have you done bookkeeping for my industry previously?
Very important.
So this is very important just because the rules are different for different industries. So obviously non-profits are very different for-profit companies in terms of bookkeeping. So, me personally, I don't touch nonprofits.
Yeah, we take an ethical standpoint on this. So if we don't really know how to do an industry, we're just going to tell you straight up that we don't know how to do it.
And refer you out.
And try to find someone for you as well that actually knows this industry fully. Yeah. Because the last thing you want is for someone not capable of doing this to mess around with it.
Yeah. And as I like to tell people, there are some, personally, when I was starting out, there are some industries like construction. Okay, I wanted to learn this, so I want to take the time to learn it. But there are other industries where, okay, that's not something I'm interested in, and like that's something that we'd like to refer out to people. So it just depends on, them either knowing that industry or wanting to be in that industry.
It's like there was this one client or one potential client that called us and they're demanding that we give them a quote for bookkeeping for what was it? A person had passed away.
Oh yes, like estate,
An estate,
which
set of books, and we've never done that before, and so we didn't feel comfortable, and we just told them straight away, we can't do that.
Yeah, we don't want to. The last thing you want when at a time that you're grieving is someone else making a mistake with these affairs.
Like we've done estate tax returns for people that have passed away, but that's very different from doing the bookkeeping, which is going to be used in a court case, etc.
Yeah. So we didn't, that's just something we're not gonna do if we don't know what we're doing. If you don't know what you're doing and we don't know what we're doing, then this is just a mess.
Yeah, don't get mad at us.
Yeah. So next, okay, after the meeting. So after the meeting, then obviously you will have an engagement letter. If they don't send you an engagement letter outlining their services or some sort of contract, that's not a very good sign.
Yeah, that's not a good sign at all.
So just make sure you review the engagement letter. 99.99999% of bookkeepers will make you sign one. This will be very detailed regarding what services are included.
Services, yeah.
So make sure you read through it. So, if you said, let's say, oh, I want, accounts payable publishing to be included and it's not in the engagement letter, then at least you can, tell her, hey, I want this included. Please make sure it's included. Just double check these things. And after you sign the engagement letter, then check if your bookkeeper will provide the following: a timeline, an onboarding checklist, or a follow-up. Do not expect a timeline and an onboarding checklist if you did not sign the engagement letter. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, if you haven't signed the engagement letter, they're automatically going to assume that you are not interested.
Yeah, exactly. So they may follow up with you, but don't expect like a timeline or an onboarding checklist.
And a lot of bookkeepers aren't going to chase you because, this is not a very sales-driven industry. It's a lot of introverted people. If you simply ignore this, they're not going to follow up a lot of the time. They'll just disregard it as a person doesn't want they're not interested.
Exactly. Well, that's what I think also. Yeah. So, just note that you're dealing with an industry of introverts. This is not very well known for being a very extroverted industry. So, that comes with the territory.
Yeah, they don't want to cause any issues by being too selly.
Exactly. So just note that with the timeline, I would say during tax season, if you're coming in around, Feb, March, wanting to get this done, you're going to be coming in with a lot of other people who want to get their bookkeeping done.
You may even get charged a
rush premium fee.
Rush premium fee simply because you're coming in during at the worst possible time.
Exactly. And regarding the onboarding checklist, this would not only be like, oh, I need, these bank statements or these credit card statements. These could be, permissions they need from you, like access to whatever software you're using.
Yeah, and usually at this point, once you've signed the engagement letter and you start going through this checklist, this is where they will really see, or the bookkeeper is really going to see whether or not this relationship will work. Mm. And a lot of times in the engagement letter, you'll see a clause where if you take too long to do something, they will simply fire you as a client. Mm. And that's because if you take 6 months to give a authorization to your CRA account, and then that's happened to us, they will just disengage with you because
you're going to be a headache.
They're seeing you as you're wasting their time.
Yeah. So note that the onboarding checklist is not just a list of documents, it's also permissions, and this is really going to be the start of your relationship. So before you commit or marry your bookkeeper, as we say, you can shop around, right? Like, finding a bookkeeper is like finding, your significant other. Let's say you're in a dating stage, you're trying to see if there are other people that are better fits out there.
Yeah, and
so
it's very common as well, especially around tax season, to have like several different calls in a day from multiple clients. But for example, if we get a small sole proprietor business where they're doing 30 to 50 transactions a month, and they want us to only come in the year end and just do a lot of bookkeeping for them, and during peak tax season, and they don't want a QuickBooks account, and
they don't want to track their Excel.
They want to do things through Excel. I'm going to turn around and say we don't do that, and that's because you've just got too much work to do
at year end.
At year end, but also, with that many transactions, you can expect quite a bit of revenue as well as quite a bit of expenses. And, if the CRA are asking for your general ledger and you don't have any, then, you'll need an accounting software.
Yeah, so make sure you shop around, because not all bookkeepers will be open to whatever style you want to work with. And just think about it this way. We have a lot of filings, like bookkeepers have a lot of filings to do between January to April of every year. You're going to come around during our busiest time and demand that your bookkeeping be done during our peak season. And then you want the lowest fees. So what's going to happen to our other clients who pay us constantly year round, because we do their bookkeeping each month, and you want to push in and pay us once a year?
Yeah, so I always go back to this example from Arielle's father, my father-in-law. Don't expect a Ferrari for the price of a Toyota, right? And so when you're trying to pay the cheapest amount, you can't expect A-grade service, and you can't expect to be pushed to the front of the line, and you can't expect to be prioritized. It's just not appropriate.
Yeah. So talk to other bookkeeping firms. Just because you get one quote doesn't mean that's the person you need to go with. Shop around, talk to other bookkeeping firms, and also prioritize, right? Your wants versus your needs, the budget that you have versus the services that you need. So for example, you may want like a full white glove kind of service, but that's not really in your budget. So you need to know which services you can cut or like live without for your budget to work. For example, most of our clients, we really do provide a white glove service. What I tell clients is, all you need to do is create your invoice. We will deal with the rest. We will speak to the CRA. You don't even need to ever speak to the CRA. We will speak to them for you.
No, not that we don't create the invoices anyway. Exactly. Like, that's a separate service. But the majority of small business owners, they want to invoice their own clients.
Exactly. So that's what I tell people. When you're with us, it's like your bookkeeping is on autopilot. Your bookkeeping will get done, things will be filed, and you never have to think about it. Everyone's, oh, I love that. And it's like, yes, that's the service we provide. But also, because it is that convenient and because it is white glove, it is more premium than other people, I would say. It comes with the territory, right? The more convenient it is for you, the more you have to pay.
Yeah, quite simple.
Yeah. So just shop around and then see what fits with your budget and see, which one you want to go with. And then it's time to decide, which bookkeeper you want to go with. And once you've made that decision, now the onboarding actually starts. So onboarding should take around 30 days. And I'm being generous here because I understand that, okay, people, sometimes this is their first time to have a CRA account. They've never had access before. That takes at least...
They got to get the PIN in the mail.
Yeah, that takes at least
forever.
3 weeks. So that's why I said it should take 30 days. But really, if you have access to your CRA account, this should take a maximum of 2 weeks because you can download all the statements online. The most difficult part is if the statements are not available online, then you have to go to the bank to get a copy.
Yeah, so during this phase as a business owner, keep the momentum, and if you're a bookkeeper out there, keep just trying to
hound them
and push them through this period, because this is the most difficult period. It is the period where people drop off the most, and it's essentially like everyone going to the gym on January 1, and I've been going to the gym for decades, and then on January 1 you see this influx of people going to the gym, and then by January 14 all the people that you now met, they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
So you just have to push through this stage.
Yeah. So I would say this is the most difficult part on the part of the business owner, because really this is a lot of them doing the heavy lifting, because this is them giving us permissions, them sending statements. So this is the most difficult part for the business owner. But once you get through this,
it's over.
Yeah, it's smooth sailing from here on out.
But part of the problem is, especially in the bookkeeping world, and we see similar firms to us, we try to simplify the process for the business owner, and then they're met with this, and they kind of get a bit upset, or they find it difficult because there's so much stuff to do. But we just promise, stick with it. It will get easier afterwards.
And this is really the get to know you stage, right? Like after you sign the engagement letter, it's all like rainbows and butterflies, right? Up to that point. This is really where the actual work starts. So this is when we find out things like, okay, you mentioned that you were filing on time, but now you have all these taxes owing.
We see all these late filings on your account.
Yeah, and like, you mentioned that you were not contacted by the CRA, but you're currently going through an HST review,
and that's why we're saying in the beginning, don't lie to the bookkeeper or the accountant, because they will see this, and it's upsetting because you think, if this is how our relationship is starting off, because you're trying to price gouge me.
Yeah.
What's it going to be like in 2, 3, 4, 5 months' time?
Exactly. So it's a lot of things come up during this period, unknown accounts from before, because you have to understand, when we're doing your bookkeeping, we go line by line in your bank statement. So if there's $1,000 you sent to a separate credit card, we can find that out. Where is this credit card? This is not a business credit card. Is this a personal card? Where did this go? Like, a lot of things come up during this time. And again, this is, I would say, I'm really being generous at 30 days. Ideally, this would get done in a week. Because if you think about it, it's really just downloading bank statements, and all the permissions we need could be done in like one afternoon with your laptop.
Yeah.
So I'm really being generous with the 30 days. If you are a bookkeeper watching this and your client takes more than 30 days to do this, then just know the way that you start that relationship is the way that client is going to act.
It may be
right?
like this every filing period.
Exactly. So just take note of that. This is, they're supposed to be on their best behavior during this point. So if the relationship is not good now, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
As it goes on. So we're not trying to scare you. We're just telling you guys what to expect. And if you didn't hear it somewhere else, at least you heard it here. The onboarding stage is very difficult for business owners because of all the documents that they need to give us.
And we're very patient during this stage because we realize that, for example, you may have had an account at one bank and then it closed, and you've got to go get those statements from an old dormant account.
Yeah.
It can be really difficult, especially if you're dealing with one bank in particular. We're not going to mention the name of this bank, but
I want to.
We want to so badly. It's a terrible bank.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we hope people never bank with it.
Sometimes when we see that's someone's bank, we just know, this is going to be a rough ride.
So I used to work in a bank, and I know why their bank is so bad, and it's because they're operating on a very antiquated software system that's like MS-DOS based.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to pretty it up with UX UI design.
For those young people maybe watching this who don't know what MS-DOS is, you need to leave this video right now.
Yeah. But we try to be as patient as possible here, but if you're a business owner, try and get through this period as quickly as possible. It really does help. But if you're a bookkeeper and all you got to do is just try and keep the motivation, keep the momentum. It's like you're a gym trainer.
Yeah.
You're trying to push them through that exercise.
Exactly. And then once they get through this, it
does
all
actually
good.
get very, very simple after this stage.
And we notice also that after this stage, I would say that most of our clients, quote unquote, turn off their brains. Like they just, okay, you have all the documents, you do the bookkeeping, get it to my accountant.
And what she means by that, it becomes so simple for them. They don't have to deal with this anymore.
Yeah.
They just have to go through the same process every month. And it's, either sending statements, or if QBO works, then with the sync, then, we're grabbing the statements automatically, that kind of thing.
Yep. Okay, so after the onboarding stage, again, that was the most difficult part for the business owner. This is when the actual bookkeeping work starts, once we have all the permissions that we need. And during this time, right, this is where I mentioned, this is when the business owner like kind of turns off their brains because everything is on autopilot and like everything's just smooth sailing. But it is not the time to relax. You need to make sure to monitor and review the bookkeeper if they are doing the bookkeeping work correctly. There are things like service level agreement. So this is related to your engagement letter. So if in the engagement letter it says like, okay, once a week they need to do accounts payable publishing. Are they doing that? Make sure that they are actually doing the work that you're paying them for.
But it also doesn't mean, just because it's January 1, that we're filing your tax return. It doesn't actually work.
Yeah.
We can't actually file anything yet.
Yeah.
So
that's, to note, just because your year end is December 31st doesn't mean we're going to be filing your taxes on January 1st.
And it doesn't mean your bookkeeping will be done then either, because we have to wait for your statements to come out from the bank. So.
Yeah. So expect expect your year end to be finalized anywhere from 2 to 2.5 months after your year end, because we need to make sure that your payroll taxes have already been remitted, your statements have closed, everything has been reconciled. Then we'll do an AP review. There's a lot of stuff that goes into a year end.
So in terms of filings to expect around January, the only things that you should have on the cards, which will be filed in February, would be anything related to T4s, T4As, T5s, that kind of thing. Don't expect your tax return to be filed. Don't expect your year end to be given to you immediately.
Yeah.
That's different.
I would say the corporate taxes are the last to be filed. The first things to be filed would be the HST and any T4s. And then corporate taxes, probably March is when that really starts. Yeah. And then, again, make sure that they are staying on top of your deadlines and your filings. Nothing is being filed late. Nothing is being forgotten. If they have to file your HST, your WSIB, payroll taxes are remitted on time, things like that. And then last would be the team fit. See how they fit in with your team. Even if they're doing a good job and they're doing everything in the engagement letter, if none of your team members like your new bookkeeper, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, it will be difficult.
If your vendors, meaning the people that your bookkeeper has to talk to reconcile the accounts payable statements, if your vendors don't like your new bookkeeper,
or vice versa,
that's going to be an issue. So it's also like personality, how they like to work. Is it a good fit with your team? And this is most important when you're doing outsourced bookkeeping and the bookkeeper is not in the country. And this is obviously happens a lot nowadays. People go on Upwork or Fiverr and try to find these bookkeepers abroad, which is fine. But just note that they might be, doing a good job with the work, but then they do the work on their hours from midnight to 5 a.m. and no one's able to contact them.
Yeah, or even the fact that they may not be able to file things for you, and you'll have to find someone else to be doing the filing. So it's like a third person that you've got in the loop. So you've got an accountant and then someone else.
So just make sure that you monitor and review and you're not super complacent. Again, this is your business at the end of the day. They are just one of your team members to help your business grow.
Yeah.
So with that being said, hopefully you guys found this video helpful. We noticed that you guys like these like long webinar form videos more. We've gotten a lot of comments in our other video that you guys kind of enjoy this like long form content more, and then we kind of like split this into little chapters in other videos.
And we don't mean to be negative or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm not being negative, I'm just being factual, and a lot of people confuse that when they interact with me, but like I'm not actually a negative guy.
Yeah, and you have to know, we're making these videos not because we
just to help people, but
we're not trying to go viral, we're trying to be honest.
Yeah, see, I was born a long time ago, and so back in my day when people were being helpful, they just tell you how it is, right?
And this is
they don't sugarcoat it, and I'm a bit like that, so I apologize if I come off rough. But I'm not.
Yeah, but again, we run Fix My Books really as a bookkeeping firm, and we make these videos because we think that it would be helpful to other bookkeepers.
Yeah, we want more bookkeepers in the industry,
Yeah.
and even business owners. We see them really struggle with
finding a good
and,
bookkeeper.
and bookkeeping and accounting in Canada, and we just want to help people out.
Yeah, so that's why we do make these videos.
We make money from the videos, but it's so small you wouldn't believe it. We're not allowed to discuss how much it is because of the YouTube terms of service, but you are not going to change your life.
Yeah, let's just say I'm not going to let go of my business, for YouTube money. But again, we're just telling the truth. If you don't hear other people say it, probably because there are not many bookkeepers making YouTube videos, but also we don't need 100,000 views on each video. If this video helps out 1-2 people out there, then that's enough for us.
We're happy with that. Especially if it helped improve some of these relationships, because we see these becoming in the future a little more strained, if anything, and the reason why is interest rates are high in Canada, and small business generally is struggling, and we just want to make it positive, good.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this video. Once again, this is Arielle
and Jason
from Fix My Books. Have a great day.
Cheers.